So, what is going on, guys? This is Ryan here.
And this is other Ryan here.
And this is Dorco here.
And today we once again have another interesting theory for you all. Now in this one, we're going to be talking about the Balloon Boy minigame, and more in particular, the graveyard.
So yeah, what Ryan is referring to is when in the Balloon Boy minigame, you can either collect the balloons and just leave through the exit, or you can jump through the top left-hand corner in which you're met with a purgatory state.
Yeah, and it was actually quite apparent that there was a secret area, because when you collect all of the balloons in the original environment you're in, there's always one left, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that led people to kind of think, where is this last balloon? And if you jump out of the left side of the room you're in, actually, as Ryan said, you'll drop down kind of several screen lengths, and then you'll be greeted with some very unique screens.
Yeah, and the first one we're introduced to is this, like you said, a Balloon Boy graveyard.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be talking about this one quite a lot because it's very interesting and it's just very unique in its kind of whole design. So we just want to talk about this and see what you guys actually make of it.
So as Ryan said, you can see three dead boys with the tear lines down the faces next to this weird shaped object, and me and the other Ryans have been talking about this, and a lot of people have as well, that this is definitely the shape of a tree.
Yeah.
And just like the other mini games as well, the other mini games what we have to do in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, we always have to glitch out of the mini games.
Yeah.
And we always seem to come across something dark. Like in the other mini games, we see a shape of the marionette leaning down, crying, and lots of other dead children as well. So
yeah, it does make you think, like, what significance could all these dead children offer? I mean, they wouldn't just be placed there for no reason, would they? And it's kind of the formation they're almost like in the Balloon Boy Air Adventure minigame. You see like two dead children to one side, and then there's one to the other, and then there's this tree-like object. And actually, in relation to this tree, Dorco actually raised a very good point on what a tree might represent to Scott.
So we know that Scott in the past has made lots of Christian games, and we know he's a very religious man.
Yeah.
And in some of the games as well, like Five Nights at Freddy's 1, he says stuff about the joy of creation, and he quotes like a book about religion and stuff like that. So we know he's definitely focused some parts of Five Nights at Freddy's to Christian symbolism. And I was actually Googling stuff about the tree, what the tree could mean. Actually, I did find something really interesting about a tree. The tree symbolises death, sorrow and sadness. So maybe Scott has actually shown this in the minigame to represent the sorrow and death of these dead children standing underneath the tree.
Yeah, and I think a really interesting point is the fact that you have to kind of, I wouldn't say glitch, but it's intentional that you don't go that way, and when you get out and then you're kind of greeted to it. So it's almost like, I don't know, could this represent like a second thought of maybe the sorrow of Springtrap, and almost the trees there to represent, you know, the sorrow of how he felt after he's killed these children?
See, I was thinking that, you know, we all know that Scott doesn't place things in games, for just weirdly place them there. He places them there for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So this has definitely got some meaning behind it, hasn't it?
Exactly, and you know, Dorco's point about the tree representing sorrow and death, and next to these dead children. See, I always think that these three dead children could represent the other lost souls of the other dead children, because I believe we're only saving 4 of the children, and Golden Freddy is the one we're ultimately saving, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought that maybe these 3 dead children could also represent the other 3 dead souls that are left in this purgatory state.
Ah, very good idea, and I think it's interesting that they're all Balloon Boys as well. I mean, Balloon Boy in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, when he kind of bursted into the scene, no one had a clue what this character was or what it represented. But the first thing everyone kind of picked up on is that he did not have an endoskeleton. He was one of the only characters to not have the endoskeleton, yet he could still kind of traverse around the environment. And it's just really unique what this character actually represents, because he's got a big involvement. I mean, in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, we use Balloon Boy's voice to actually lure Springtrap away, don't we?
Yeah.
So that alone tells me that there's a big link between Springtrap and just the dead children, and even Balloon Boy himself. And I think another interesting point, actually, looking at this image of Balloon Boy, is that he's actually carrying a really uniquely coloured balloon.
Oh yeah, purple balloon.
Yeah, he's actually carrying a purple balloon, so maybe this as well is representing some kind of link between maybe the Springtrap and actually Balloon Boy. Whatever this link may represent, I think it's definitely deep, and it's got some history behind it that we definitely don't know about. And maybe in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 actually opens some doors towards what this might mean.
See, your point about the balloon being purple, also if we brighten up the image, we can see that the tree and the 3 dead children actually turn purple as well. So this could also be a direct link towards the Springtrap purple guy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always been that thing, isn't it? Like in the Scott teaser images on the website, you always have to brighten it up to kind of find the hidden message.
Yeah.
So it does make you think that maybe this is actually intentional.
God, most definitely. We know Scott, he's always intentional.
Absolutely,
most
yeah.
of his things.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah, he loves to hide these little small hidden niches, and it's always nice to know that he's kind of doing that to keep us all busy with these theories.
It's also quite weird how Balloon Boy is the only animatronic which is symbolised as a child, an average child. So maybe Scott is trying to symbolise that Balloon Boy represents all of the children as a child, and that's why he can use them all. He can keep using it in the mini games like free Balloon Boys. Obviously, there's not going to be free Balloon Boys in real life, is there?
Absolutely, no. Yeah. And I think it's interesting as well when you think about the fact that these guys have these crying lines down their face, and you know, so does the actual children. So maybe that's a link saying that the Balloon Boy is there to represent these children almost.
Yeah,
isn't
definitely.
It? Just as you say, yeah, he's a very unique character representing like a child, and he's one of the only animatronics that represents a human-like figure, isn't he? Because with the kind of colour that he is, and yeah, he just definitely represents some kind of child, and he's definitely not made to look like some animatronic that's a purely fictional character.
Yeah.
So, okay then, guys, that was a really interesting discussion on what the Balloon Boy minigame might actually represent. If it's a bit more darker than we actually first thought, or if there might be some sorrow and happiness in it from Springtrap's side. Remember to like the video if you did enjoy, guys, and hey, if you're new to either of our channels, be sure to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys, and we will, of course, see you on the next video on both channels.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Want to see even more content from us?
Consider liking and subscribing to ensure you'll see all content in the foreseeable future.
And hey, why not check out our past 2 videos?